Ayan had exactly 3 problems, and they'd all appeared in the last 4 hours. Problem 1. The pregnancy test in her pocket, with its 2 pink lines. Proof that her life was about to get infinitely more complicated. Problem 2. The files on her computer screen that revealed her charming CEO boyfriend was actually the head of a Korean crime syndicate. Problem 3. She was currently hiding in the back of a car, running from the man she loved, the man whose baby she was carrying, the man who might kill her for discovering his secrets. The universe had to be laughing at her right now. 3 months ago, Ayan had been a simple translator, living a quiet life in Seoul. Then Taeyang had walked into her world with his devastating smile and protective instincts, and she'd fallen hard. She'd thought she was dating a successful businessman. Turns out she'd been sleeping with the most dangerous man in the city. The car started moving, and Ayan let out a shaky breath. At least this part of her improvised escape plan was working. Hide in a random vehicle, get far away from Taeyang's building, figure out the rest later. Maybe she could leave Seoul entirely. Start over somewhere new, where Mafia bosses and their complications couldn't find her. The car drove smoothly through the city streets, and Ayan counted the minutes, planning her next move. When they finally stopped, she waited for the driver to leave, before carefully lifting her head to look out the window. Her heart stopped. She knew this place. The private estate in Hanamdong, the one Taeyang had brought her to for a romantic dinner, the one he'd called his sanctuary away from work. She'd hidden in his car. Out of dozens of vehicles in that garage, she'd somehow chosen the one belonging to the exact man she was running from. "I know you're in there, Ayan." Taeyang's voice was soft, almost amused. "We should talk, don't you think?" Before we continue this story, hit that subscribe button if you love K-drama level plot twists, because what happens next, you won't see it coming. The leather seat was cold against Ayan's back, as she pressed herself into the footwell of the car. Her hands shook so badly, she had to grip her knees to stop them. The parking garage smelled like oil and concrete, and somewhere above her she could hear footsteps. "Find her." A man's voice echoed between the pillars. "Check every floor, 9. Ayan squeezed her eyes shut. This was insane. 20 minutes ago, she'd been at her desk, translating shipping documents. 20 minutes ago, her biggest worry had been morning sickness and how to tell Taeyang about the baby. Now she was hiding in a stranger's car like a criminal. But he was the criminal, not her. The car door suddenly opened, and Ayan's heart stopped. She held her breath, waiting for someone to drag her out, but instead, she heard the driver's door close. The engine purred to life. The car began to move. Oh no. Oh no no no. She hadn't thought this through. Where was this car going? What if the owner found her? But staying in the garage meant getting caught by Taeyang's men, and right now anything seemed better than facing him. Not after what she'd discovered. The car drove smoothly through what felt like several turns. Ayan counted the seconds, then the minutes. Her legs cramped in the tight space. The pregnancy test in her jacket pocket pressed against her ribs like evidence of her stupidity. 3 months. She'd dated her boss for 3 months without knowing what he really was. The car finally stopped, and the engine cut off. Ayan heard the driver's door open and close. Footsteps moved away. She waited, counting to 60 twice, then slowly lifted her head to peek out. Her blood turned to ice. She recognized the tall iron gates, the stone walls, the traditional Korean roof, visible beyond the modern security system. She'd been here once before, 2 weeks ago, when Taeyang had invited her for dinner. He'd called it his private home, away from work stress. This was Taeyang's house. She'd hidden in Taeyang's car. "You can come out now, Ayan." His voice came from right outside the car door. Calm, almost gentle, which somehow made it worse. Ayan's mind raced through options. She could refuse to move. She could try to run. She could pretend this was all a misunderstanding. But her body had already betrayed her. She could feel nausea rising, the kind that had nothing to do with pregnancy, and everything to do with pure fear. The door opened. Taeyang stood there in his dark gray coat, his face unreadable. He didn't look angry. He looked tired. "Please," he said, "let's talk inside." "I don't want to talk to you." Ayan's voice came out smaller than she wanted. "Then you can listen." He stepped back, giving her space. "But we're not having this conversation in a parking area." Ayan climbed out on shaking legs. The estate spread around them, beautiful and isolating. The nearest neighbor was probably half a mile away, No one would hear her scream. Stop it, she told herself. This is Taeyang. He'd never hurt her. Except she didn't know what he would or wouldn't do anymore. She didn't know him at all. She followed him into the house, because what choice did she have? Running would be pointless now. His security team had probably already locked down the entire property. The interior was warm, all wood floors and subtle lighting. It had seemed cozy before. Now it felt like a trap. Taeyang gestured to the sitting room. T, are you serious right now? The words burst out before Ayan could stop them. You want to serve me tea? Like we're having a normal date? I want you to sit down before you fall down. His eyes dropped to her trembling hands. You're in shock. I'm terrified. There's a difference. Wait. She wasn't supposed to use cliché phrases, but her mind was spinning. Of me? Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe. But it was gone so fast she might have imagined it. Ayan wrapped her arms around herself. I heard you tonight. The meeting with those men. You were talking about territory and making problems disappear. I went through the files after you left. Those shipping containers aren't bringing in car parts, Taeyang. The money trails, the coded language, everything suddenly made sense. So you ran. What else should I have done? Trusted me. He said it so simply, like it was obvious. Ayan laughed, and it sounded slightly unhinged even to her own ears. Trusted you. You've been lying to me for 3 months. I never lied to you. You let me believe you were a normal businessman. I am a businessman. Taeyang moved closer, but stopped when she flinched. His jaw tightened. Ayan, please sit. You look pale. She was pale. The room had started spinning slightly. The stress, the running, the pregnancy, all of it crashed over her at once. She sat, mostly because her knees gave up. If you're enjoying this story so far, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Things are about to get really complicated. Taeyang disappeared into the kitchen and returned with water, not tea. He set it on the table in front of her, keeping his distance like she was a scared animal. How long have you known, Ayan asked, that I found out? Since you left the building. My security system alerts me when anyone accesses certain files. So you knew I was in your car the whole time? Yes. You could have said something in the garage. You would have run. He sat across from her, elbows on his knees. At least this way we're somewhere safe to talk. Safe for who? I'm alone in your house. Your men are everywhere. I couldn't leave if I wanted to. You're not a prisoner, Ayan. Then let me go. Silence stretched between them. Taeyang's expression didn't change, but his hands curled into fists, then slowly relaxed. No, he said finally. Ayan's heart hammered. Why not? Because the second you stepped into my world, even accidentally, you became visible to people who would use you against me. Because you know things now that make you valuable to my enemies. Because I just got 3 separate reports that the Hikryong have analysts scanning security footage from my building. He leaned forward. Because in the last hour, you've become the most vulnerable person in Seoul, and I will not let anything happen to you. The conviction in his voice made her stomach flip. This was the Taeyang she knew, protective and intense. But it was also a stranger, admitting to a criminal empire. So what am I supposed to do? Live here? Pretend everything's fine? Until I handle the situation. Yes. Handle it how? That's not something you need to worry about. See? That right there. Ayan stood, anger giving her strength. You're making decisions for me, about my life, my safety. You don't get to do that. Taeyang stood too. Someone has to keep you alive. I was fine before you. Were you? You were working for me, living in an apartment I own, shopping at stores in neighborhoods I protect. You've been in my world for a year, Ayan. You just didn't know it. The words hit like cold water. What? I hired you specifically. Your language skills, your background, everything checked out. I needed a translator I could trust. So this whole time, our relationship, was it all planned? Her voice cracked. Was I just some employee you decided to sleep with? Don't. The word came out sharp. Taeyang crossed the space between them in 2 steps, stopping just short of touching her. Don't reduce what we have to that. What do we have? I don't even know you. You know me better than anyone. His voice dropped. Every morning I brought you coffee. That was real. Every late night we stayed talking in the office. Real. The way I feel when you smile. The way I couldn't stop thinking about you. All of it was real. The only thing I hid was the business. The business where you make people disappear. I protect people. His eyes blazed. My territory. The business is under my protection. They're safe from worse predators. You want to know what I do? I keep the drug dealers out of Gangnam. I make sure the women working in Itaewon don't get abused. I stop human trafficking rings before they can operate. Yes, I operate outside the law. Yes, I've done things you wouldn't approve of. But I'm not the monster you're imagining. Ayan wanted to believe him. Every part of her that had fallen for this man wanted to accept his words. But how could she trust anything now? I need time, she whispered. To think. Take all the time you need. But take it here, where you're safe. A phone buzzed. Taeyang pulled it out, read something, and his expression went cold. What? Ayan asked, even though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. The Hikryong have your picture. They know you left the building in a panic. They're putting pieces together. Pieces of what? That you matter to me. The weight of those words settled over the room. Ayan touched her stomach unconsciously, a protective gesture she didn't even realize she was making. But Taeyang noticed. His eyes tracked the movement and something shifted in his face. Are you hurt? His voice went urgent. Did something happen when you were running? I'm fine. You keep touching your stomach. It's nothing. Ayan. He moved closer, his hand reaching out, then dropping. Please, if you're injured, I need to know. My doctor can be here in 10 minutes. I'm not injured. But her voice shook, and she knew he heard it. Then what is it? The question hung in the air. This was it. The moment she could tell him, or keep the secret a little longer. Part of her wanted him to know, wanted to see his reaction. The other part whispered that a man like him would use a baby as leverage, as one more chain to keep her tied to this world. A loud bang echoed from somewhere outside. Both of them froze. Taeyang's phone rang. He answered without looking away from her. Report. Ayan couldn't hear the other side, but she watched his expression harden. Lock it down. Nobody moves without my authorization. He ended the call. We need to go upstairs, now. What's happening? Someone just tried to breach the east wall. He took her arm, gentle but firm, guiding her toward the stairs. It's probably nothing. My security will handle it. But I'm not taking chances with you. They climbed to the second floor. Taeyang led her to a room at the end of the hall and opened the door. It looked like a guest room, comfortable and neutral. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone but me. Taeyang. He paused in the doorway. Who would try to get in here? People who think you're valuable. His expression softened slightly. They're wrong. You're not valuable. You're priceless. And that's why they'll never get near you. He left before she could respond. Ayan locked the door with shaking hands and sat on the bed. Through the window she could see security lights sweeping the grounds. Men in dark clothes moved with purpose between the trees. This was her life now, at least for tonight. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She'd forgotten she still had it. The screen showed a text from an unknown number. We can offer protection. Better than his. If you want out, reply with a location. Ayan stared at the message. Who had her number? How did they know she was here? She should tell Taeyang, but something made her hesitate. Another text came through. He'll never let you go. We both know that. But we can help. Think about it. She deleted both messages, her heart racing. The walls felt like they were closing in. Outside, the security lights kept sweeping. Inside, the lock on the door suddenly seemed very flimsy. A soft knock made her jump. It's me. Taeyang's voice came through. False alarm. Just a drunk that wandered too close. Ayan opened the door. Taeyang stood there looking perfectly calm, but she noticed his hand resting near his side, where she knew he kept a gun. She'd seen it once by accident, and he'd explained it away as necessary for a businessman in Seoul. Now that excuse felt hollow. You're still pale, he observed. Have you eaten today? She tried to remember. Breakfast had been crackers to settle her stomach. Lunch had been skipped because of a rush translation job. Not much. That explains it. Come on. I'm not hungry. You need to eat anyway. He was right, even if she hated admitting it. The baby needed food, even if her stomach was in knots. She followed him back downstairs to the kitchen, where he started pulling out ingredients. You cook? She asked, despite herself. I live alone. It was learn or starve. He set a pan on the stove. Kimchi fried rice okay? It was her favorite. He remembered. Fine. They fell into an awkward silence while he cooked. Ayan sat at the counter, watching his hands move with practiced efficiency. Those hands had held her so carefully. Had they also hurt people? She didn't want to know, and desperately needed to know at the same time. Stop, Taeyang said without looking up. Stop what? Overthinking. I can hear it from here. How am I supposed to not overthink? My entire life just exploded. I know, and I'm sorry. He plated the food and set it in front of her. I never wanted you involved in this part of my world. You were supposed to stay separate, safe. Why did you hire me then? Because I needed someone good at languages, who wouldn't ask too many questions. You were perfect on paper. He met her eyes. I didn't plan on falling for you. When did you? The question came out before she could stop it. When did you start seeing me as more than an employee? Taeyang was quiet for a moment. 6 months ago. You were arguing with a supplier on the phone in 3 different languages, getting more creative with your insults each time you switched. You were fierce and brilliant, and you didn't even realize it. I knew right then I was in trouble. Despite everything, Ayan felt warmth bloom in her chest. She remembered that call. The supplier had been trying to cheat them, and she'd torn into him verbally until he gave them a better price. Why didn't you say anything for 3 more months? Because I was trying not to be the boss who hits on his employee. I have some standards. A slight smile tugged at his mouth. You made it impossible, though. Every day you'd do something that made it harder to keep my distance. Like what? Like bringing me lunch when I was too busy to eat. Like learning Korean business phrases to impress clients. Like laughing at my terrible jokes when everyone else just pretended to. His expression turned serious. Like making me want to be better than what I am. The rice sat untouched between them. Ayan's throat felt tight. I wish you'd told me the truth from the start. Would you have stayed if you knew? Honestly, she didn't know. The Ayan from a year ago would have run. Maybe even the Ayan from this morning would have run. But the Ayan sitting here now, carrying this man's baby, couldn't imagine a world where they'd never met. I don't know, she admitted. That's why I didn't tell you. That's not fair. Nothing about my life is fair, Ayan. But you were the one good thing I had that felt clean and right and mine. I wasn't ready to lose that. You might lose it anyway, after tonight. I know. He looked down. But I'd rather lose you knowing you're safe than keep you and watch my world destroy you. The vulnerability in his voice broke something in her chest. This was the Taeyang she'd fallen for, the one who hid his heart behind business meetings and careful control. She picked up the fork and took a bite. The food was good, perfectly seasoned. Of course it was. He probably excelled at everything he did, legal or not. What happens now? She asked between bites. You stay here tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out next steps. And if I want to leave tomorrow? His jaw tightened. Then we'll discuss what protection you'll need and how to keep you safe from a distance. You'd really let me go? I'd hate it. I'd probably have half my team shadowing you without your knowledge. But yes, if that's what you truly wanted, I wouldn't keep you here against your will. It was the answer she needed to hear. Not the promise she was free to go, but the honesty that he'd struggle to let her. That felt more real than pretty lies about respecting her choices. Ayan finished eating while Taeyang cleaned up. The domestic normalcy of it felt surreal, given the armed guards outside. I should sleep, she said finally. Today has been a lot. I'll walk you back up. I remember the way. Indulge me. They climbed the stairs in silence. At the guest room door, Taeyang paused. If you need anything, I'm in the room at the other end of the hall. Just call. Okay. He started to leave, then turned back. Ayan, whatever you decide tomorrow, about us, about everything, I want you to know something. Meeting you was the best thing that happened to me in 10 years. Even if this is where it ends, I don't regret a single moment. He walked away before she could respond. Ayan closed the door and leaned against it, her hand ridding them to her stomach again. Your father is complicated, she whispered to the tiny life inside her, and I have no idea what we're going to do. The room had an attached bathroom. She washed her face and borrowed a t-shirt from the closet that looked unused. It smelled like detergent and something else, maybe the same cologne Taeyang wore. She climbed into bed, but sleep wouldn't come. Every sound made her tense. The house settling, wind against the windows, Footsteps of security guards changing shifts outside. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Final offer. We have a car waiting 2 blocks east. Red sedan. Keys under the mat. Be smart. Ayan's hands trembled. Someone was actively trying to extract her. They had people watching the house. They knew exactly where she was. She should tell Taeyang. But what if he didn't believe her? What if he thought she'd arranged this somehow? A third text arrived. He can't protect you forever. The Baiko are already fracturing. Choose the winning side while you can. That one she screenshot before deleting. Evidence, maybe. Or insurance. Sleep finally came, sometime after 2 in the morning, restless and filled with dreams of running through Seoul streets that never ended. She woke to sunlight, streaming through unfamiliar windows, and a moment of panic before remembering where she was. The clock read 8:30, later than she'd slept in months. A soft knock came at the door. Ayan? Are you awake? Not Taeyang's voice. Female, older. Who is it? I'm Mrs. Kang. I manage the household. I brought breakfast. Ayan opened the door to find a woman in her 50s holding a tray. She had kind eyes and a no-nonsense air. Mr. Choi asked me to make sure you ate. He's in a meeting, but said he'll find you after. Mrs. Kang set the tray on the small table. There's clothes in the closet that should fit. He had them brought over this morning. He what? Toiletries in the bathroom, too. If you need anything else, just press the button by the bed. It connects to the kitchen. Mrs. Kang left before Ayan could process this. She opened the closet to find several outfits, all in her size. Not expensive designer things, just comfortable clothes. Jeans, sweaters, practical items. He must have sent someone to a store at dawn. The thoughtfulness of it conflicted with everything else. How could someone so considerate be involved in organized crime? She ate the breakfast, showered, and dressed in jeans and a soft blue sweater. Her own clothes from yesterday were gone, probably being washed. Another small kindness that felt like a golden cage. Footsteps in the hall made her tense, but they passed by. She needed to talk to Taeyang about those texts, about everything. Ayan left the room and made her way downstairs. Voices came from behind a closed door, tense and rapid in Korean. She caught words here and there. Territory. Risks. Exposure. The door opened suddenly, and a man emerged. Tall, hard-faced, with eyes that swept over her with cold assessment. So you're the translator, he said in Korean. I am. She kept her voice steady. You've caused quite a complication. Min-jun. Taeyang appeared in the doorway, his voice carrying a warning. Leave it. She's a liability. She's under my protection. That makes her one of us. Min-jun's expression said he disagreed strongly, but he nodded and walked away. Ayan watched him go, her skin crawling. He doesn't like me much, she observed. He doesn't like anyone much. Don't take it personally. Taeyang gestured to his office. Come in. We need to talk. That sounded ominous. Ayan followed him into a room lined with books and understated furniture. He closed the door, and she noticed how tired he looked, like he hadn't slept at all. I got texts last night, she said before he could speak, from someone offering to help me escape. His entire demeanor changed. Show me. I deleted them, but I took a screenshot of the last one. She pulled out her phone. Taeyang studied the image, his expression growing darker. Hyukryong. They're moving faster than I expected. What do they want? You, or more specifically, leverage against me. He handed back her phone. Don't respond to any unknown numbers. Actually, don't use this phone at all. I'll get you a secure one. They said your organization is fracturing. They're trying to scare you. Is it true? Taeyang was quiet for a beat too long. Some of my people are nervous. They think having you here is a weakness. Min-jun, among others, but they'll fall in line. And if they don't, that's my problem to handle. He moved to his desk and picked up a new phone, still in packaging. Use this from now on. It's encrypted. Only a handful of people have the number. Ayan took it, feeling the weight of everything the gesture implied. I can't stay here forever. Taeyang. I know. So what's the plan? I'm working on it. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. He scrubbed a hand over his face. The situation is complicated. The Hyukryong are circling. My own people are questioning my judgment. And I can't think straight, because all I want to do is keep you safe, which apparently makes me weak. It doesn't make you weak. In this world it does. Caring about someone, showing vulnerability. It's blood in the water. He looked at her with exhausted eyes. But I can't stop caring about you any more than I can stop breathing. So we'll figure it out, even if it costs me everything. The raw honesty in his voice made Ayan's chest ache. She crossed the room without thinking, and stood close enough to feel his warmth. You look terrible, she said softly. Didn't sleep much. Because of me. Because of the situation. Not your fault. But his eyes said different. They said he'd been up all night terrified for her. Ayan made a decision she'd probably regret. She reached out and took his hand. We'll figure it out together, okay? His fingers closed around hers like a lifeline. Okay. The moment stretched between them, fragile and vital. Then Taeyang's phone rang, shattering the peace. He answered with visible reluctance. What? Whatever he heard made his grip on her hand tighten. When? How many? Ayan's stomach dropped. Something bad had happened. She could see it in the way his expression went cold and controlled. Lock it down. I'm on my way. He ended the call and looked at her. I have to go. Something's happened at one of my properties. What kind of something? The kind that requires my immediate attention. Mrs. Kang will stay with you. Don't leave the house. Taeyang. He cupped her face briefly, a touch so gentle it made her breath catch. I'll be back soon. I promise. Then he was gone, moving with lethal purpose. Ayan heard him giving orders in the hall, heard cars starting outside. The house suddenly felt very empty. Mrs. Kang appeared with tea. Come, let's sit in the sunroom. It's more pleasant than standing here worrying. Is this normal? Him leaving like that? It's his life. Mrs. Kang poured tea with steady hands. But I've worked for Mr. Choi for 8 years. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. That's not normal at all. The sunroom was beautiful, in a way that made Ayan uncomfortable. Large windows overlooked a garden where morning light caught on stone lanterns and carefully pruned trees. It looked peaceful. It was a lie. How long have you known what he does? Ayan asked, accepting the tea. Mrs. Kang settled into her chair with the ease of someone who'd answered difficult questions before. From the beginning. My husband worked for Mr. Choi's father. When he passed, Mr. Choi took care of our family. Got my daughter through university. Paid for my husband's medical bills before he died. She sipped her tea. So yes, I know what business he's in. I also know he's a better man than most who operate inside the law. That doesn't make it right. No, but it makes it complicated. You'll learn that nothing in this world is as simple as right and wrong. Ayan wanted to argue, but her stomach chose that moment to roll unpleasantly. She set down the tea, breathing carefully through her nose. Are you all right? Mrs. Kang's voice sharpened with concern. Fine, just, the tea is strong. It's the same blend as yesterday. You seemed fine with it then. Mrs. Kang's eyes narrowed in that way older women had, the look that saw through every excuse. How far along are you? Ayan's head snapped up. What? I've had 3 children. I know the signs. The way you touched your stomach last night at dinner, Mr. Choi mentioned it. The paleness, not drinking the tea. She stood and moved to a cabinet, pulling out plain crackers. Here, these help. There was no point denying it. Ayan took the crackers with shaking hands. 2 months, maybe closer to 3. Does he know? No. Why not? Because I found out the same day I learned what he really is. Because I don't know if I can trust him. Because a baby complicates everything. The words tumbled out. What if he uses it to control me? What if he won't let me leave because of the child? Mrs. Kang sat back down, her expression thoughtful. Mr. Choi lost his family when he was 19. His parents, his younger sister, all gone in one night. He built everything he has now to make sure no one else he cares about ever suffers like that. She leaned forward. If he knew you were carrying his child, there is nothing in this world he wouldn't burn down to keep you both safe. Whether that comforts you or terrifies you, only you can decide. It did both. Ayan nibbled a cracker, her mind spinning. For what it's worth, Mrs. Kang continued, I think you should tell him soon. Secrets have a way of coming out at the worst times. A crash from somewhere in the house made them both jump. Raised voices followed, angry and sharp. Mrs. Kang was on her feet immediately. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. What's happening? Probably nothing. But stay here anyway. She left. and Ayan heard the lock click from the outside. Wait, had Mrs. Kang just locked her in? She tried the door. Yes, definitely locked. The voices grew louder. She recognized Min Jun's tone, harsh and insistent. Another man responded, equally angry. She couldn't make out words, but the hostility was clear. Then a sound that made her blood freeze. A single gunshot. Ayan grabbed her phone, the new one Tae-young had given her. His number was already programmed in. Her finger hovered over it. What would she even say? She didn't know what was happening. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. Multiple people, moving fast. She looked around the sunroom for anything resembling a weapon. A decorative vase, maybe. A heavy book. This was insane. The footsteps passed by. A door slammed. Then silence, thick and suffocating. Ayan counted to 100 twice, before she heard the lock click again. The door opened, and Mrs. Kang stood there, looking perfectly calm, except for the tightness around her eyes. What happened? Ayan demanded. I heard a gun. An argument between security team members got out of hand. It's handled. Someone shot a gun and you call that handled? No one was hurt. The shot went into the ceiling. It was posturing. Mrs. Kang smoothed her skirt. But perhaps you should stay in your room for a bit. Just until things settle. I want to talk to Tae-yang. He's still dealing with the situation in the city. I've already sent word about what happened here. He'll call soon. Ayan let herself be guided back upstairs, her heart still racing. The house that had seemed like a safe cage now felt like a powder keg. How many people here actually supported Tae-young? How many were just waiting for an excuse to betray him? In her room, she finally called him. He answered on the first ring. Are you okay? His voice was tight with stress. Mrs. Kang said there was an incident. 2 of your people got into a fight. 1 of them fired a gun. I'm fine. But Tae-young, what is happening? Is this about me being here? Silence on the other end, which was answer enough. Some of my men think I'm making poor decisions. They're not wrong to be concerned. Bringing you into this creates complications. But they don't get to question my authority, and they definitely don't get to make you feel unsafe in my home. Where are you? Handling the problem that pulled me away this morning. Someone torched one of my warehouses. No one was hurt, but the message was clear. What message? That the Hukryong are done playing nice. They want war, and they're using you as the excuse to start it. He exhaled roughly. I'm sorry. This is exactly what I wanted to avoid. Maybe I should leave. Go somewhere else. Somewhere away from Seoul. They already have your picture and your information. Running would just make you an easier target. His voice softened. I know this is terrifying. I know you didn't ask for any of this. But the safest place for you right now is with me, even if it doesn't feel that way. Ayan sat on the bed, exhaustion crashing over her. I'm so tired, Tae-young. I know. I'll be back in 2 hours. We'll figure this out together, I promise. After he hung up, she lay back and stared at the ceiling. There was a fresh patch of plaster visible near the corner. From the gunshot, probably. Great. Her hand drifted to her stomach again. Sorry, baby. Your mom really knows how to pick them. A knock at the door made her tense, but Mrs. Kang's voice called out. Lunch, dear. You need to keep your strength up. The older woman brought in soup and rice, setting it on the table with practiced care. She glanced at Ayan's hand on her stomach and smiled slightly. My first pregnancy. I was terrified too. Different reasons than yours, but the fear is universal. How did you handle it? 1 day at a time. 1 decision at a time. You can't control everything, so you control what you can. Mrs. Kang headed for the door, then paused. He'll be a good father, you know, when you tell him. After she left, Ayan picked at the food. Her appetite was non-existent, but the baby needed nutrition. She managed half the soup before nausea won. The afternoon crawled by. She tried to read on her phone but couldn't focus. Tried to sleep, but her mind wouldn't stop racing. Finally, she stood by the window, watching security patrol the grounds. One of them looked up, and their eyes met. He didn't smile or nod, just stared at her, with an expression she couldn't read. It made her step back from the window. Her new phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped. Don't use the phone he gave you for anything important. They're all monitored. If you need real help, find a way to contact us. How did they have this number already? Taeyang said it was secure, that only a few people knew it, which meant either it wasn't as secure as he thought, or someone close to him was feeding information out. She deleted the message with shaking hands. Trust no one. That seemed to be the lesson here. Another message, different number. Check the news. Your boyfriend's empire is crumbling. Rats leaving a sinking ship. We can offer you safe passage before it all goes down. Ayan opened a news app. The headline made her breath catch. Gangnam business leader under investigation for organized crime connections. The article didn't name Taeyang directly, but anyone in the know would recognize the descriptions. It talked about raids, ongoing investigations, witnesses coming forward. Publication time was 2 hours ago. This was bad, really bad. Tires crunched on gravel outside. Ayan looked out to see Taeyang's car pulling up fast, followed by 2 others. Men emerged, all looking tense and angry. Taeyang moved toward the house with the controlled purpose of someone barely holding back violence. She should stay upstairs. Let him handle whatever crisis this was. But her feet carried her to the door anyway, down the stairs, stopping on the landing, where she could hear, but not be seen. It's a setup. Minjun's voice, hard as iron. Someone leaked to the prosecutors. We have maybe 48 hours before they get warrants. Who leaked? Taeyang asked, dangerously quiet. Still tracking it down. But boss, with respect, the timing is suspicious. This started right after she arrived. Careful. One word, loaded with warning. I'm just stating facts. We had no leaks until the translator showed up. Now suddenly prosecutors have information they shouldn't have. The Hukryong know our movements, and half our operation is exposed. Ayan has nothing to do with this. You sure about that? Really sure? Because from where I stand, she's either impossibly unlucky or playing you. If you're still listening, drop a comment and let me know what you think is going to happen next. Do you trust Ayan? Do you think there's a leak? Let me know your theories below. Ayan's hands gripped the railing. They thought she was a spy. They thought she'd betrayed Taeyang. I'm sure. Taeyang's voice cut through the tension. Which means the leak is coming from inside. Someone who had access to our systems, who knew our vulnerabilities. Start looking at anyone who's shown resentment in the last month. That's half the crew. Everyone's on edge since you brought her here. Then narrow it down. I want a name by tonight. Footsteps approached the stairs, and Ayan barely had time to back up before Taeyang appeared. He looked wrung out, his hair disheveled from running his hands through it, his shirt slightly untucked. But when he saw her, something in his expression eased. You heard? Enough. They think I'm the leak. Minjun is paranoid. It's what makes him good at his job. Taeyang climbed the last few steps to her level. But he's wrong about you. How do you know? Because I know you. Because if you were working against me, you'd have done it months ago when you first had access to sensitive files. Because everything about you is honest to the point of pain. He reached out, then seemed to remember himself and dropped his hand. Because my instincts about people have kept me alive this long, and every instinct I have says you're not the enemy. Your people don't agree. My people will fall in line or find new employment. It should have sounded comforting. Instead, it highlighted how precarious everything was. How quickly this could all collapse. The news said there's an investigation, Ayan said. There's always an investigation. Usually I have enough warning to clean things up before it goes anywhere. This time someone made sure I wouldn't have that warning. His jaw clenched. They're trying to destabilize me from multiple angles. The warehouse fire, the internal dissent, now legal pressure. It's coordinated. What are you going to do? What I always do? Handle it. But he sounded tired. So tired. I need to make some calls. Talk to some people. Can you stay upstairs a bit longer? Do I have a choice? You always have a choice, Ayan. I meant what I said. You want to leave. I'll arrange it. But I'm asking you to stay. To trust me a little longer, while I sort this mess out. She should say no. Should demand he let her go. Find her own way. Get far from this chaos. But looking at him, seeing the exhaustion and stress and worry he was trying to hide, she couldn't do it. Okay, a bit longer. Relief flashed across his face. Thank you. He left and she returned to her room, feeling like the walls were closing in. How had her life become this? 2 days ago, her biggest problem was morning sickness. and how to tell her boyfriend about the baby. Now she was trapped in a crime lord's house, while his empire fractured around them. Evening came. Mrs. Kang brought dinner, but Ayan could barely eat. The nausea was back, stronger than before, and with it a headache that pounded behind her eyes. "You should rest," Mrs. Kang said, concerned. "You look unwell." "I'm fine. You're pale and shaking." "That's not fine." She felt Ayan's forehead. "No fever, but I'm getting the doctor." "No, really. I just need to sleep." But Mrs. Kang was already leaving, already making calls. Ayan wanted to protest, but another wave of nausea hit, and she had to focus on not throwing up. 20 minutes later, an older man with kind eyes and a medical bag arrived. Mrs. Kang introduced him as Dr. Han, someone who'd been treating the household for years. "Let's have a look at you," he said gently. "Mrs. Kang says you're feeling poorly." "It's just stress. Stress can cause all sorts of problems. Humor me anyway." He checked her blood pressure, listened to her heart, looked at her eyes with a small light. "Any particular symptoms?" "Nausea, headache, fatigue." "How long?" Ayan glanced at Mrs. Kang, who gave her an encouraging nod. "A few weeks." Dr. Han's expression shifted to understanding. "I see. And when was your last monthly cycle?" There was no hiding it now. 3 months ago. He smiled. "Well, that explains quite a bit. Congratulations." "Have you seen an obstetrician?" "I took a home test, that's all. We should do a proper examination. Make sure everything is developing well. The stress you're under isn't ideal for pregnancy." He pulled out a portable ultrasound device. "May I?" Ayan nodded, feeling surreal. This was happening. Someone else would know now. And that someone worked for Taeyang. "Does he know?" Dr. Han asked as he set up the equipment. "No. You should tell him soon. He'll want to know." "I'm aware." The ultrasound was quick and professional. Dr. Han pointed to the screen, where a tiny blob pulsed rhythmically. "There's your baby. Heartbeat looks strong. I'd estimate you're about 11 weeks along, give or take. Everything appears normal." He handed her a tissue to wipe the gel off. "But I need you to reduce your stress levels. I know that's easier said than done, given the current circumstances. But for the baby's health, you need to try." "I'll try. I'm going to prescribe some prenatal vitamins, and something mild for the nausea. And I want to see you again in 2 weeks." He packed up his equipment. "Who knows about this besides us?" "Just Mrs. Kang. And now you." "It's not my place to tell Mr. Choi, but as his physician, I'll say this. He deserves to know. And the longer you wait, the harder it will be." After he left, Mrs. Kang sat beside her. "He's right, you know." "I know. Every time I think about telling him, something explodes, literally or figuratively. There will never be a perfect time, but there will be a right time, and you'll know it when it comes." Ayan hoped she was right. Night fell, and the house grew quiet. She lay in bed, one hand on her stomach, staring at the ceiling. 11 weeks, almost 3 months, a quarter of the way through this pregnancy, and the father didn't even know. A soft knock came at her door. "Ayan, are you awake?" Taeyang's voice. She should pretend to be asleep. Instead, she got up and opened the door. He looked worse than this afternoon. His tie was gone, shirt sleeves rolled up, shadows under his eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. "I just wanted to check on you," Mrs. Kang said. "The doctor came by." "I'm fine, just stressed like everyone else. Can I come in?" "Just for a minute." She stepped aside, and he entered, looking around the room like he was checking for threats. Habit, probably. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "For all of this. For dragging you into my mess. For not being able to fix it faster. It's not your fault. It is, though. I knew the risks of getting close to you. I did it anyway, because I'm selfish, and I wanted you more than I wanted to keep you safe." He ran a hand through his hair. "Now you're stuck here while my world falls apart." "It's not falling apart, isn't it? Half my crew questions my leadership. My enemies smell blood. The law is circling, and the one person I care about most looks at me like I'm a stranger." The pain in his voice cracked something in Aeon's chest. She crossed the space between them without thinking. "I don't think you're a stranger. I'm confused and scared and angry. Yes, but I see you. The real you. And that person is still the man I fell for, even if the circumstances are complicated." Complicated is an understatement. Fine, terrible, awful. A complete disaster. She managed a weak smile. Better? He almost laughed. Almost. Marginally. They stood close enough that she could feel his warmth, see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. This would be the moment to tell him. About the baby. About everything. The words formed on her tongue. His phone rang, shattering the moment. He checked it and swore under his breath. I have to take this. But Ayan, thank you, for not giving up on me yet. He left, and she was alone again with her secret. The next morning brought chaos. Ayan woke to shouting and rushed footsteps. She grabbed a robe and opened her door to find people running through the halls. Mrs. Kang appeared, moving faster than Ayan had seen. Get dressed, quickly. Pack a small bag. Only essentials. What's happening? The prosecutors are coming. They have warrants. Mr. Choi is moving you somewhere safer before they arrive. Ayan threw on clothes with shaking hands, grabbed her phone and wallet, not much else. She'd arrived with nothing, and apparently was leaving with the same. Tae-young met her at the bottom of the stairs. Change of plans. This house isn't safe anymore. I have another property. Smaller. Off the grid. We're going there now. What about your people? The investigation? My lawyers will handle it. Right now my priority is you. He guided her to a different car, not his usual one. A driver she didn't recognize sat behind the wheel. Min-jun appeared from the house carrying a bag. Everything's wiped. They'll find nothing useful, he reported. Then to Ayan, get in. The drive through Seoul felt like a fever dream. Dawn light painted the city in shades of pink and gold, beautiful, and indifferent to the chaos in her life. They headed away from the wealthy neighborhoods, into older parts of the city, where buildings pressed close and streets narrowed. Where are we going? Ayan asked. Bukchon, I have a hanok there, registered under a different name. No one knows about it except the people in this car. Tae-young kept watching behind them. We'll be safe there while I sort things out. For how long? As long as it takes. The hanok sat tucked between others. Traditional architecture with modern security hidden in plain sight. Inside was a careful blend of old and new, wood beams and underfloor heating, sliding doors and reinforced locks. Min-jun swept the property, while Tae-young brought her inside. The space was smaller than the estate, but somehow felt safer, like a hideout instead of a fortress. There's 2 bedrooms, bathroom, small kitchen, everything you need. He set down the bags. I know this isn't ideal. Ideal would be my apartment and my normal life. But this beats prison or whatever the alternative is. The alternative doesn't bear thinking about. He checked his phone, frowned. I need to meet with my lawyers in an hour. Min-jun will stay with you. I don't need a babysitter. You need protection. He's the best I have. After Tae-young left, Ayan explored the hanok. It was actually quite beautiful, with a small courtyard garden and traditional touches throughout. In another life, she would have loved staying here. Min-jun stood by the door, arms crossed, radiating disapproval. You don't have to like me, Ayan said finally, but we're stuck together, so we might as well be civil. I don't trust you. I gathered that. Why? Because you're a weakness. Because the boss has never lost focus like this. Because every time he looks at you, he makes decisions with his heart instead of his head, and that will get him killed. I never asked for any of this. Doesn't matter. You're here anyway, and now we all have to deal with the fallout. He turned away. Stay inside. Don't answer the door. Don't go near windows. I'll be right outside if you need anything. He left her alone in the hanok. Ayan sank onto the heated floor and finally let herself cry. Quiet tears that she'd been holding back for 2 days, releasing the stress and fear and overwhelming confusion of her situation. When the tears stopped, she felt hollowed out but clearer. She couldn't control what Tae-young did or what his enemies planned. She couldn't fix the investigation or heal the rifts in his organization. But she could control one thing. She could tell him the truth about the baby. Not now, not in the middle of crisis, but soon. He deserved to know, and she deserved to stop carrying the secret alone. Her phone buzzed. Tae-young, how are you holding up? I've been better. How's the meeting? About as fun as you'd expect. Lawyers talking in circles, prosecutors posturing. Nothing concrete yet, but they're definitely building a case. He paused. I'm sorry you're alone there. This wasn't how I wanted things to go. Nothing about this situation is how anyone wanted it to go. True. I'll be back this evening. We'll have dinner, talk about next steps, try to rest until then. After he hung up, Ayan made tea and sat in the courtyard despite Minjon's instructions about windows. The afternoon sun felt good on her face. Normal. She needed normal right now, even if it was temporary. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. She should ignore it. She opened it anyway. Final warning. We're making our move tonight. If you want to survive what's coming, be ready to run. We'll extract you at midnight. Garden Gate. Come alone, or don't come at all. Taeyeon stared at the message, her heart pounding. What move? What was coming? And how did they know about the Garden Gate at a property that was supposed to be secret? She screenshot the message and sent it to Taeyang with shaking hands. His response was immediate. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming back now. 10 minutes later, Minjun burst into the Hanok. We need to move. Now. What's happening? Someone leaked this location. We've got suspicious activity 2 blocks over. Boss says get you out immediately. Where to? Somewhere even he doesn't know until we're there. Limits the leak potential. He grabbed her bag. Move. They went out the back way, through narrow alleys that smelled like garbage and cooking food. Ayan's pulse raced as she struggled to keep up with Minjun's long strides. A car pulled up, different from the one this morning. Minjun pushed her into the back seat and climbed in after her. The driver took off before the doors fully closed. Where's Taeyang? Ayan asked, creating a diversion, making it look like you're still at the Hanok while we get you clear. That's dangerous. That's his choice. They drove in tense silence through evening traffic. Ayan watched the city pass by, wondering if she'd ever feel safe in Seoul again, wondering if she should have run when she had the chance. Her phone rang. Taeyang. Are you clear? Yes. Where are you? Dealing with our friends who thought they could ambush you. They were wrong. Gunfire crackled in the background, and Ayan's breath caught. I'm fine. Just stay with Minjun. He'll keep you safe until I can get there. Taeyang. Be careful. Always am. I have too much to lose now. The call ended. Ayan stared at her phone, fear coiling in her stomach. This was really happening. People were shooting at the father of her baby, and she couldn't do anything but run. He'll be fine, Minjun said gruffly. Boss has been in worse situations. That's supposed to be comforting? It's supposed to be true. The car pulled up to a hotel, mid-range and anonymous. Minjun got her inside, and up to a room on the 8th floor without anyone seeming to notice them. Stay here. Don't order room service. Don't leave for any reason. I'll be in the hall. He paused at the door. For what it's worth, I'm starting to think I was wrong about you. What changed your mind? You're still here. If you were working against us, you'd have run by now. Had plenty of chances. He almost smiled. Plus, the boss is happy when he talks about you. Even now. I haven't seen him happy in years. That counts for something. After he left, Ayan collapsed on the bed. Her hands found her stomach automatically. Your father is either very brave or very crazy, she whispered. I haven't decided which yet. An hour crawled by. Then 2. Her phone stayed silent. Outside, Seoul sparkled with lights, millions of people living normal lives. She envied every single one of them. Finally, a knock at the door. It's me. Taeyang's voice. Ayan opened the door, and he stepped in, looking rumpled but unhurt. Relief crashed over her so strongly she swayed. He caught her arms. Hey, I'm okay. See? Not a scratch. I heard gunshots. Warning shots. Nobody got hurt. He guided her to sit down. But we have a bigger problem. The people who came to the Hanok weren't Hyukryong. Then who? My own people. The leak isn't from outside. Someone in my organization is trying to either kill you or deliver you to my enemies. His expression hardened. Which means I can't trust anyone except Minjun and a handful of others. What are we going to do? I'm going to find the traitor and handle it. You're going to stay here where it's safe. For how long? Until I make this right. He cupped her face gently. I know you're scared. I know this is too much. But I swear to you, I will fix this. I will make it safe for you again. Ayan covered his hands with hers. I need to tell you something. I should have told you earlier, but there was never a good time, and I was scared, and... Ayan, Whatever it is, just tell me. She took a breath, gathering courage. This was it, the moment that would change everything. I'm pregnant, almost 3 months. The baby is yours. Silence filled the hotel room. Tae-young stared at her, like she'd spoken a different language, his hands still cradling her face, frozen in place. Say something, Ayan whispered. You're pregnant? His voice came out rough. Yes. With my baby? Yes. For 3 months? Almost. His hands dropped and he stepped back, running both hands through his hair. He turned away, then turned back, opened his mouth, closed it. She'd never seen him this undone. Tae-young, please say something. I'm going to be a father. He said it like he was testing the words. We're having a baby. Yes. And you've known this whole time, since you found out about me. Ayan's stomach twisted. I was scared. I didn't know if I could trust you, if you'd use it to control me. If I'd be a terrible father because of what I do. He sank into the chair like his legs gave out. You thought I'd use our child as leverage. I didn't know what to think. Everything happened so fast. He was quiet for a long moment, staring at his hands. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. My sister was 6 when she died. I was supposed to protect her, and I failed. I've spent 10 years making sure I never fail anyone I love again. His voice cracked. And now you're telling me I'm getting another chance. A child. Our child. Are you happy about it? Happy? He laughed, but it came out choked. Ayan, I'm terrified. I'm in the middle of a war. My organization is fracturing. And now the most important thing in my world isn't just you anymore. It's you and our baby. He crossed to her and knelt down, eye level. But yes, underneath the terror, I'm happier than I have any right to be. Relief flooded through her so strongly, she started crying. Tae-young pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was made of glass. I'm sorry, he murmured against her hair. For everything you've been through, for putting you in danger, for making you afraid to tell me this. I should have told you sooner. You told me when you were ready. That's what matters. He pulled back to look at her. But from now on, no more secrets. We're in this together, all 3 of us. His hand moved to her stomach, hesitant, like he needed permission. Ayan covered it with hers. The baby's okay. Dr. Han checked. Strong heartbeat. Dr. Han knows? A smile tugged at his mouth. How many people knew before me? Just him and Mrs. Kang, I swear. I'm going to have words with Mrs. Kang about keeping secrets. But he said it fondly. Did he say when? I mean, when is... Late spring. April, probably. April. He said it like a prayer. We'll have a baby in April. The moment felt fragile and perfect, a bubble of peace in the chaos. Then Tae-young's phone rang, and reality crashed back. He answered, his expression shifting back to business mode. What did you find? Ayan watched him listen, saw his jaw clench, his free hand curl into a fist. You're certain? No room for error? A pause. Fine. Bring him to the warehouse. I'll be there in 30 minutes. He ended the call and stood. They found the traitor. Who? Sung-ho. My second in command for 6 years. He's been feeding information to the Hokryong since before you even arrived. Bitterness laced his words. I thought the leak started with you, because that's what he wanted me to think. Turns out he's been planning this for months. What are you going to do? What I have to do. Handle it. The coldness in his voice sent chills down her spine. Handle it how? You don't want to know. Tae-young. He looked at her, and his expression softened slightly. I'm not going to kill him, if that's what you're worried about. That's not how I operate. But he needs to answer for his betrayal, and my people need to see that there are consequences. So what, you're going to hurt him? I'm going to make sure he can never hurt anyone I care about again. The specifics, you don't need to carry. He kissed her forehead. Stay here with Min-jun. I'll be back in a few hours. I don't like this. I know, but it's necessary. He moved to the door, then paused. When this is over, when everything is safe again, we're going to sit down and talk about the future, about what kind of life we want for our child. Okay? After he left, Min-jun entered and took up position by the window. Ayan paced the small room, anxiety eating at her. He'll be fine, Min-jun said. Sung-ho is a traitor, but he's not stupid enough to try anything now. How long have you known? That Sung Ho was the problem. Started suspecting yesterday. The timing of certain leaks, the way he pushed back on security measures for you. Little things that didn't add up. He glanced at her. Boss told me. About the baby. Congratulations. Thanks. For what it's worth, that kid's going to have the most protected childhood in Seoul history. Between the boss and me, nothing will touch them. It should have been comforting. Instead, it reminded her that her child would grow up in this world, surrounded by danger and secrets. An hour passed. Ayeon tried to eat the food Min-jun ordered, but everything tasted like cardboard. She kept checking her phone, willing Taeyang to call. When it finally rang, it wasn't Taeyang. It was a number she didn't recognize, but something made her answer. Miss Ayeon? A woman's voice, shaking. My name is Ji-woo. I worked for Mr. Choi. You need to get out of there, now. What? Why? Sung Ho. He didn't work alone. There's others. They're coming for you tonight. They know where you are. How do you know this? Because my brother is one of them. He just called me, drunk and guilty. Told me everything. They're going to take you and use you to force Mr. Choi to surrender his territory. Ji-woo's voice broke. I'm so sorry. I didn't know until now. Please, you have to run. The call ended. Ayeon stared at her phone, ice flooding her veins. Min-jun. Her voice came out steady despite her terror. We have a problem. She explained the call. Min-jun's expression went dark and dangerous. Could be a setup. Someone trying to flush you out. Or it could be real. Can we take that chance? He pulled out his phone and called Taeyang. No answer. Called again. Nothing. That's not good, Min-jun muttered. He made another call. Jaya, I need eyes on the boss. Now. Call me back in 2 minutes. Those 2 minutes felt like hours. When his phone rang, Ayeon watched Min-jun's face go pale. What? She asked. The warehouse is surrounded. Someone tipped off a rival gang. They have the building locked down with the boss inside. We have to help him. We have to get you safe first. That's what he'd want. I don't care what he'd want. I care about him not dying. Min-jun looked torn. Then he made a decision. Fine. But you do exactly what I say, when I say it. Understand? Yes. They left the hotel through a service exit. Min-jun had a car waiting. Different from before. Seoul traffic was thick with evening commuters, slowing their progress. Call him again, Ayeon urged. Min-jun did. This time Taeyang answered. I'm a bit busy right now, he said, and she could hear tension in his voice. We got a tip that there's more traitors, that they're coming for Ayeon. Then get her out of Seoul. Take her to the safe house in Busan. I'll meet you there when this is handled. Boss, you're outnumbered. I'm aware, but I've gotten out of worse situations. Just keep her safe. That's an order. The call ended. Ayeon grabbed Min-jun's arm. We're not going to Busan. Boss said. I heard what he said. But I also heard that he's trapped and outnumbered. We're helping him. You're pregnant. You're the last person who should be anywhere near a fight. I'm not fighting, but I speak 4 languages, and I'm good at talking to people. Maybe I can negotiate something. Min-jun looked at her like she'd lost her mind. These aren't people you negotiate with. Everyone negotiates. They just need the right offer. An idea was forming, crazy and desperate. The Hyukryong want leverage against Taeyang, right? What if we give it to them? Absolutely not. Listen, what if I go in, offer myself as collateral for a conversation, face to face, leaders only, no weapons, neutral ground. They get what they want, a meeting with Taeyang, without his defenses up, but it happens on terms that give him a chance. He will actually kill me if I let you do this. He'll definitely die if we don't do something. At least this way we're trying. Min-jun swore creatively in Korean. You're as crazy as he is. Fine, but we do this smart. I make the contact, set the terms. You don't go anywhere until I'm sure it's not a trap. He made a call, speaking rapid Korean that Ayeon only half followed. When he hung up, he looked grim. They agreed. Meeting in 1 hour, at Dongdaemun Design Plaza, public enough that nobody will try anything stupid. You, the boss, and Dae-jung from the Hyukryong. 3 people, no weapons, neutral observers to keep it clean. And they'll let Taeyang leave the warehouse? That's the deal. If you show up, they'll release the pressure and come to the meeting instead. It felt too easy. But what choice did they have? The drive to DDP felt surreal. The iconic architecture glowed against the night sky. Tourists and locals wandering the plaza. Normal people living normal lives, completely unaware of the criminal negotiation about to happen in their midst. Min Jun's phone buzzed. "Boss is clear. He's on his way, and he's very unhappy with both of us. I'll take unhappy over dead." Tae-young arrived 10 minutes later, and the look he gave Ayan could have melted steel. "We'll talk about this later," he said, voice tight. "Right now, stay behind me. Let me handle this. I'm the one who set up the meeting, and I'm the one who's going to finish it." Dae-jung appeared from the other direction, flanked by 2 men who stopped at the edge of the plaza. He approached alone, hands visible, no weapons. He was older than Ayan expected, maybe 50, with silver threading through his hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Tae-young," he nodded. "And this must be the translator everyone's fighting over. She has a name," Tae-young said coldly. "Use it." "Ayan then. You've caused quite a disruption in our quiet little world." Dae-jung smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I have to admit, I'm curious what makes you so special." "I'm not special. I'm just someone who got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time." "Modest too. I like that." He turned to Tae-young. "Here's my offer. You give me Gangnam, the territory you've held for 8 years. In exchange, I ensure no one touches your pretty translator. She lives a long, peaceful life, far away from all this." "Counter-proposal," Tae-young said. "You back off entirely. Stop targeting my people. Stop the games. In exchange, I don't dismantle your operation, piece by piece." "Bold, considering your organization is falling apart. Half your people are ready to jump ship. The prosecutors are building a case. You're bleeding from multiple wounds. Tae-yang, this is mercy I'm offering. It's extortion. It's business." Ayan stepped forward before Tae-young could stop her. What if there was a third option? Both men looked at her. Tae-young's hand twitched like he wanted to pull her back, but didn't. "What option?" Dae-jung asked. "Peace. Real peace. Not just a ceasefire. You both want control of Seoul's underworld, but fighting over it just weakens you both. What if you divided it differently? Not by territory, but by type. One of you handles one kind of business, the other handles something else. You stay out of each other's way, maybe even cooperate when it benefits both." Dae-jung laughed. "You think you can just redraw the map because you ask nicely? I think you're both smart enough to see that this war benefits no one, except your enemies. The prosecutors, the rival cities, everyone watching and waiting for you to destroy each other." She looked between them. "I've spent a year translating business deals. The good ones. Both sides win. This could be one of those if you let it." Silence stretched. Tae-young was staring at her like he'd never seen her before. "She makes a fair point," Dae-jung said slowly. "We've lost more in the last month than we've gained." "So have I," Tae-young admitted. "But I won't give up territory I've protected for years, just to stop a fight you started." "I started it? You brought an outsider into your confidence. That's a sign of weakness. No, it's a sign I have something worth protecting beyond power." Tae-young moved closer to Ayan. "And I'll burn this entire city down before I let anyone take that from me." The threat hung in the air. Jung studied them both, calculation in his eyes. "What if you weren't in the game at all?" he asked finally. "Explain." "You want out, I can see it. The way you look at her, the way you're willing to negotiate instead of fight. You want a normal life." Dae-jung crossed his arms. "So take it. Step down. Let someone else run the Baeko. In exchange, I guarantee your safety and hers. Complete immunity from our operations." "And who would run my organization?" "I have some thoughts. People who'd keep things stable." He glanced at Min Jun. "Your man there, for instance. Loyal, capable, respected." Min Jun looked shocked. Tae-yang's expression was unreadable. "You've thought about this," Tae-yang said. "I've thought about a lot of things, including the fact that you've been transitioning to legitimate business for the last year. The translator wasn't just a translator, was she? She was your way of building connections outside our world." Ayan blinked. That hadn't occurred to her. Tae-young didn't deny it. "I've been preparing options, in case I ever wanted to leave." "Then leave, tonight. Walk away while you still can, while she's still alive to walk away with you." Dae-jung's voice turned serious. I have daughters, Tae-young. If one of them looked at a man the way she looks at you, I'd want him to choose her. Choose the life she can give you over this one. The words hit like a punch. Ayeon felt tears prick her eyes. Tae-young was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was steady but soft. I need certain guarantees. Protection for my people who want out. Legitimate business opportunities. And absolute assurance that Ayeon and our child are never targets. Dae-jung's eyebrows rose. Child? She's pregnant. 3 months. Tae-young took Ayeon's hand. So, yes, I want out. But I want out cleanly, with no threats hanging over my family. Done. I'll even sweeten the deal. I have connections in legitimate import-export. Real business, nothing illegal. I'll set up introductions. Help you transition. Dae-jung extended his hand. Do we have an agreement? Tae-young looked at Ayeon. What do you think? I think I want our baby to know their father. Not visit him in prison or hear stories about him. Actually know him. Grow up with him. Her voice shook. If you're really willing to walk away, then yes, let's take the deal. He squeezed her hand and turned back to Dae-jung. We have an agreement. They shook on it. 2 crime lords making peace in the shadow of Seoul's most famous landmark. It felt unreal. I'll have papers drawn up by tomorrow, Dae-jung said. Make it official. In the meantime, consider yourself retired. He nodded to Ayeon. Take care of him. He's one of the good ones, believe it or not. After Dae-jung left, Tae-yang pulled Ayeon into his arms and just held her. She felt him shaking slightly. Did that really just happen? She whispered. I think so. I think I just quit the mob to become a businessman and a father. Having regrets? Not even a little. He pulled back to look at her. You were amazing. The way you negotiated. Seeing the angle I missed. Where did that come from? Watching you for a year. Learning how you think. She smiled. Plus desperation. That helped. He laughed, real and genuine. Desperation looks good on you. Min-jun approached, looking shell-shocked. Boss, did he really just offer me your position? He did. You interested? I don't know. That's a lot to process. Think about it. Either way, you've been loyal for years. I'll make sure you're taken care of. Tae-young clapped his shoulder. But right now, I'm taking Ayeon somewhere safe and quiet, where we can actually breathe for 5 minutes. The somewhere safe turned out to be the Hanok in Bukchon, now truly safe, with the threats neutralized. Mrs. Kang met them at the door with tea and a knowing smile. I heard the news. Congratulations on your retirement and your impending fatherhood. How does everyone know everything before I do? Tae-young asked, but he was smiling. It's my job to know things. She ushered them inside. Now sit. Both of you look exhausted. They sat in the courtyard under the stars. Ayeon leaned against Tae-young, his arm around her shoulders, and for the first time in days felt safe. What happens now? She asked. Now I call my lawyers and start the legitimate transition. Set up real companies, real import-export business, everything legal and boring. Boring sounds perfect, doesn't it? He pressed a kiss to her hair. I've been thinking. We should move. Not far, maybe to one of the quieter neighborhoods. Get a place with a yard for the baby. Somewhere that feels like a home, not a fortress. I'd like that. And we should probably get married. If you want. No pressure, but I'd like our child to have parents who are official. Ayeon twisted to look at him. Is this a proposal? It's the worst proposal in history, isn't it? He grimaced. I should have planned something romantic, with flowers, and maybe not right after negotiating with crime lords. It's perfect. Yes, I'll marry you. His smile was brighter than she'd ever seen. Yeah, but I want a proper proposal later. Something I can tell our kid about that doesn't involve gang warfare. Deal. I'll plan something spectacular. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Seoul hummed in the distance, alive and indifferent. Tomorrow would bring lawyers and paperwork and the complicated process of untangling from his old life. But tonight was just them. I'm scared, Ayeon admitted, of being a mother, of whether we can make this work. Me too. Terrified, actually, but we'll figure it out together. His hand found her stomach. This little person deserves the best we can give them, and I think our best might actually be pretty good. When did you become an optimist? About 3 hours ago, When you walked into a meeting with crime lords to save my life. You make me believe in better possibilities. Before you go, I need you to do something for me. If this story gave you all the feels, if you were rooting for Taeyang and Ion, hit that subscribe button. I've got more stories coming that'll give you the same butterflies, the same emotional roller coaster. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. Subscribe now so you don't miss a single upload. 6 months later, Seoul had settled into a new rhythm. The prosecutors dropped their investigation when key witnesses recanted and evidence disappeared. The Baeko organization continued under Minjun's leadership, smaller and more focused. And Taeyang became boring. Wonderfully, perfectly boring. Ion woke to sunlight streaming through the windows of their new home in Bukchon. Traditional on the outside, modern on the inside, with a small garden where Taeyang had planted vegetables like a suburban dad. Speaking of, he was already up. She could hear him in the kitchen, probably making breakfast with the same intensity he'd once brought to criminal enterprise. She hauled herself out of bed, 8 months pregnant and feeling every bit of it. The waddle to the kitchen was undignified but necessary. "Morning," Taeyang said, immediately moving to help her sit. "How are you feeling?" "Like I'm smuggling a watermelon. You?" "Excited. Dr. Han says any day now." "I'm aware. The baby keeps reminding me by sitting on my bladder." He grinned and set breakfast in front of her. Eggs, rice, soup, all perfectly prepared. Domestic life suited him in ways she never expected. "I have a meeting this afternoon," he said. "The trade deal with that company in Singapore should be our biggest contract yet." "That's amazing." "It is. Completely legal, profitable, and I get to come home at reasonable hours." He leaned over and kissed her. "I love boring." "Good, because it's about to get much more boring with a newborn keeping us up all night." "Can't wait." Mrs. Kang arrived mid-morning with groceries and opinions about the nursery colors. Minjun stopped by to drop off paperwork, staying for tea, and reporting that everything was stable on his end. "How's retirement treating you, boss?" he asked. "Stop calling me boss. I'm just Taeyang now. Old habits. But seriously, you look happy." "I am. Happier than I've been in years." He glanced at Aeon. "Turns out giving up power for love is a pretty good trade." "Who would have thought?" Minjun smiled. "The girl who hid in your car would change everything." "Best accidental stowaway ever," Ion said, making them both laugh. That evening, as the sun set over their garden, Ion and Taeyang sat outside together. His hand rested on her belly, feeling their daughter kick. "I never told you," he said quietly, "why I kept that car separate from the others." "Why? It was supposed to be my escape vehicle. If everything went wrong, that car would get me out of Seoul and away from my life." He smiled at the irony. "Instead, you climbed into it and gave me a reason to stay. Fate has a weird sense of humor." "The best sense of humor." He kissed her temple. "I was thinking, when she's older, when our daughter asks how we met, what do we tell her? The truth, that I made a mistake, hid in a stranger's car, and it turned out to be the best mistake of my life." "You think she'll believe in that kind of fate?" "I think she'll believe in love, the messy, complicated, sometimes dangerous kind that changes everything." Ion leaned into him, "Because that's what we'll show her every day. No more secrets, no more secrets. Just us, building something real." As stars appeared over Seoul, Ion felt their daughter move again, a whole life getting ready to begin. Behind them was chaos and danger, and difficult choices. Ahead was uncertainty, and sleepless nights, and the adventure of raising a child. But right now, in this moment, everything was perfect. "Thank you," Taeyang said softly. "For what?" "For hiding in my car, for not running when you learned the truth, for seeing who I could be, instead of just who I was, for giving me a family." His voice caught. "For choosing me. Thank you for being worth choosing." They sat together as night fell, two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way. The Korean Mafia boss and the translator who'd stumbled into his life, now building something neither had expected. Love, family, and a future that stretched ahead with all its beautiful, boring possibilities. 3 weeks later, Park Ji-hye was born at sunrise, weighing 7 pounds, and announcing her arrival with impressive volume. Taeyang cried, when he held her for the first time, this tiny person who looked like Ayan, but had his stubborn chin. "Hello, little one," he whispered. "I'm your dad, and I promise you'll never know the shadows I came from, only the light we built for you." Ayan watched from the hospital bed, exhausted and happy. No pressure, but she's already beautiful. She's perfect, just like her mother. Mrs. Kang arrived with flowers. Min Jun came with a stuffed tiger, making a joke about the Beiko legacy. Even Dae Jung sent a gift, an expensive baby blanket, with a note that read, "To new beginnings." As visitors filtered in and out, as Ji-hye slept peacefully in her father's arms, Ayan thought about the woman she'd been 6 months ago. Scared, running, hiding in a car with no idea where she'd end up. If someone had told her then that she'd find love, family, and happiness in the chaos, she never would have believed it. But life had a way of surprising you, of taking wrong turns and making them right, of bringing together two people who needed each other even when they didn't know it. "What are you thinking about?" Taeyang asked, catching her expression. "About hiding in cars and finding home. Best decision you ever made." "Second best. The best was staying." He leaned over and kissed her, careful not to disturb the baby. "I love you, both of you, more than I have words for." "We love you too. Thank you so much for sticking with this story all the way to the end. If you loved Ayan and Taeyang's journey as much as I loved writing it, do me a huge favor and subscribe to this channel. I've got so many more stories coming. More K-drama feels, more unexpected romance, more emotional roller coasters that'll have you feeling all the things. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's go on this journey together. Comment below and tell me what you thought of this story. Did you see the twists coming? Were you rooting for them? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.